Hello, my friends, Jerry Rosa and David Tharp here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. I'm going to turn my speakers down here a little bit so they don't feed back. Hello, David.
Hello.
But David was here yesterday and was the very first person to see the water wheel working besides Sue and I. And so I thought that was pretty cool. He came in just about 45, 50 minutes right after we got it working, and that was pretty cool. So I'm excited to show you the water wheel, but we're going to hold off on that for a little while. Let me tell you a couple of housekeeping things, and then we'll get right into it. First of all, Thursday, which is it's tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. So tomorrow evening, 7 p.m., we have our live show. It'll be right here. Should be the whole band, and I think Yolanda is going to join us as well. Yolanda will probably come on about 8 o'clock, just so you know, and she's going to do about 3 tunes. I also want to remind you that Mountain View, Arkansas, we're going down there just for a jamming time. You know, we're just going down there to play music, just with friends and stuff. And quite a few people are coming in from other areas to meet us down there. So Mountain View, Arkansas, June 6th through 9th. If you would like to go down there, send me an email, rosastringworks@gmail.com, and I will send you a return email with my cell phone number so you can text us while we're down there and find out where we are and all that good stuff. Let's see. We went to Dickie's Barbecue last night, and David sat in with us. And let me tell you something. He's a real picker. That boy, he can play that thing. Not only can he tell jokes in the comment section, but he can play that guitar and seriously play it very well. Here's proof of that right now. Yeah, I told you, he's the real deal. And he said he didn't know if he was good enough to play with us. And, I said exactly the opposite. We were, a lot of the tunes he picked, I didn't know the melodies, and it's a little hard to get into them. But I was keeping time on the mandolin anyway, so you did a great job. How did you enjoy your time at Dickie's last night?
Oh, we had a great time.
Well, good.
Really good. And everybody ought to come out here and use the rental retreat. You're treated like family when you get here.
Well, good.
Both Sue, she's so personable and so friendly, and it's just a wonderful experience.
Well, great. I'm glad you like it.
I really needed that, though. I had a really disappointing day yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
I found out that my brand new universe remote control does not, in fact, control the universe. Not even remotely. But
I have those kinds of problems all the time.
But it's still better than the old days.
What
the
is
old
it?
days, you had 2, maybe 3 channels the most, and you had to get up and walk to change the channels. Uphill both ways.
And
through the snow.
Right. And my dad used to, boy, get up there and change that today. I was his remote control. Yeah, I remember those days. I really do. Gunsmoke and flipping the channel to the next thing, the Smothers Brothers or whatever he was watching,
Yeah.
The good old days. Well, we really enjoyed the jam last night. And one of the cool things last night, you may not realize it, but he's using this wireless microphone system. Can you see the light right here? And we've got it plugged into the adapter, or to the amplifier, whatever you call this thing. I can't even think of what you call it right now. The interface. It's plugged into the interface to make it work here. I don't know the volumes and all that because we haven't had time to test all that, but hopefully he's coming through okay. He might need to get a little closer to the mic. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was the other thing I wanted to tell you. We are impressed with this wireless mic system. And here's a look at the box. It's the MW1 wireless microphone system, Lekato. Everybody was raving about how good that mic sounded last night at Dickey's. Everybody said they loved it, and all the musicians liked it, and the audience was coming up saying how much they liked it after we were done. That new mic really works great, and so we were tickled with it. So you can pretty much bet this thing's going to find its way onto the products I use when I get a minute to create that video. Now, just so you know, what you heard there at Dickey's really wasn't coming through the mic. That was just coming through my cell phone. So, just so you understand, that really had no bearing on it. But anyway, just on the live part going out the amp, that wireless mic works really well. Just impressed with it. I was actually kind of dreading it because when I plugged it in here and just played it by, just talking into it by myself as a test, it seemed a little sharp, seemed a little dry, but it really blended in well, I thought, with the live music. Did you feel the same way, or?
I thought it sounded good.
I thought it did. I thought for
that little amp, I'm really surprised that little amp.
Yeah, that little Spark amp that I have, which is also on the products I use page. I learned about that from Leon. He told me to buy that, and sure enough, it's the real deal. And that little Spark 40, I think it is called. That thing is it can mimic, I think, up somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 different amps. It's crazy how and it's all software driven. It can be driven off your smartphone. I use about 1% of its capabilities. All we're doing is just using it to, sing live over. That's it. And we don't do anything special with it, but it's got all kinds of effects and things too built in. And again, that's on the products I use page as well. Well, I guess I've got one more thing. Somebody had requested that Yolanda be on our Thursday night program. Well, Mark and Yolanda stopped by yesterday, and if you recall, I repaired Mark's guitar, the Sigma Martin. And Mark brought me this little token of appreciation yesterday. It looks like an antique statue with a guitar for a head. And he called it a mandolin because that's what the people that sold it to him called it, a mandolin. But it does look more like a guitar, and that's what Mark said too, But anyway, it does look like an antique, so thank you, Mark, for that. We appreciate it. And anyway, let's quit stalling and let you see the water wheel. Now, just so you know, I'll set the stage here. I had blocked the water off with an inner tube. So in other words, I had put an inner tube inside this pipe and blew it up, and that stopped like 99% of the water from going through. And that allowed me to dry it up enough to put the caulk in there and seal it off. And then so the video picks up from me pulling that inner tube out and then running over there to see the water start to flow. So here you go. Well, I finally got the valve stem out of the inner tube. So the water's going to pour through there now. Let's get over here. Oh, it's already pouring through. There it goes. You got to see the very first spin of the water wheel. Look at that baby spin. Man, it wasn't like it was simple, I can tell you that. That's working. That's about what I figured it would spin like. I figured it would spin fairly fast. That's amazing. Now I'm going to get a chair and just sit here in the shade and watch it for a couple hours, because I am just so tired of working on this thing, I can't tell you. I am absolutely amazed. Is the water coming out pretty flat? Yeah, you can see it's coming out real nice. I still don't have the permanent straps up there holding it. I just have temporary straps, but that's okay. I can make those straps on my own time now. And I do have to build a deal back there to support that better. You know, I'll make that out of stone. Looks like we got a couple drips going on back there. I don't know what that's about, but I'm gonna go check it out. Oh, it's dripping underneath the, it's seeping through. It is seeping through a little bit. I was hoping it would be watertight, but it's not. It's seeping a little bit. Well, you know, maybe I can fix that in time. I was hoping that would hold it. Caulked it as best I could. Now I'm curious, can I stop that shaft with my hand? So let's see here. See if I can stop it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but barely. It's got some torque. More torque than I thought it would have, honestly. I think it might turn my generator okay. You know, at least when it's got this kind of flow. You know, if it gets down to a trickle flow, it probably won't do anything, but you can only do what you can do. And like I said, I didn't build it for power. I only built it for looks. So as you drive into the farm with these pillars, this will be the first thing you'll see. Of course, there'll be a building on top of that yet. I think that's a pretty cool entrance into the farm. And that's really what I did it for, was just mainly for looks. Plus, you know, it just should have a water wheel here. I mean, we've got all this fall. It just should have a water wheel, and now we do. Well, here's the first time I've seen the water wheel at night, pulling in from the jam at Dickey's barbecue pit. Look how fast that sucker's spinning. Isn't that awesome? And the torque on it is pretty amazing. I'm amazed how hard it is to hold that wheel with your hand. So I think it's going to turn the generator just fine. I rest my case. It works.
And it really grabs your attention when you drive in. It's
yeah, well, cool. That's the idea. You know, it just gives you that first impression, and especially since we have the Airbnb here and all that kind of thing. It's just one more thing to make it a little bit cooler while you're here, you know, just something to see and take pictures with. And I know Emery, my daughter-in-law, JR's wife, she's into photography a lot, and she's always shooting scenes at different places. Well, I mean, that's just one more place where she can shoot pictures now, you know, and it'd just be kind of fun. So I'm really tickled with it. I am now 99.9% sure my generator is going to work with that. The torque on it is much greater than I expected. You know, I thought I'd just grab it and stop it. But no, you don't get to just grab it and stop it. You can stop it, but it's, you know, it's a brake thing, and it just finally causes enough friction to stop it. But anyway, I think I had originally planned to put a wheel, you know, like a pulley system on it to speed the generator up. But by my quick, real rough calculations, I'm thinking it's spinning about 30, 32 RPMs. And that's more than enough to turn that generator and produce electric. It doesn't take very much. That generator will light a light bulb just by twisting it with your hand, So instead of doing a pulley system, which has friction and drawdown and all that, I'm thinking I'm just going to hook a direct drive straight onto it, like with a little universal joint of some sort, and just let the generator turn right off the end of the shaft. I'm pretty sure it'll spin that sucker, even with a trickle of water, really. Yep. So I think it's going to work. Well, I guess we're going to go to the comments here, David. And since you're not in the comments, I'm going to miss all these jokes here. He'll have to interrupt us every once in a while and throw one in. Looks like Walt Willard was the first one up there, at least if I didn't lose anybody, and we may have, but I didn't look at it real close this morning. John Pepper's there, Luke If. Let's see if we see any question marks. The first one I see is Paul Lanier, and he's talking to Wayne Blitz. So let's see. Looking down here, Paul Lanier again. Too many hits to my head and body at my senior time has left me in a perfect state to be a politician. Can someone teach me to steal and lie? Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. It's a sad, sad thing, but it's also as true as it can be.
If the opposite of pro was con, is the opposite of progress Congress?
Yeah, exactly. Pro and con. Boy, you got that right. There's a joke about that I can't remember. I'll just forget it. Anyway. Dottie Hildebrandt says, praying for all the Rosa group, thank you. And we really appreciate that, Dottie. And now after we went live, it looks like Newton Horn, there's Bo Horn. He's going to be down at Mountain View, or supposed to be. His wife just had an operation. I hope she's doing well, Bo. Praying for her. And let's see. There's Mark there, Mark Nasdem. Nadzim, I say it backwards every time. I always say Nazdem, but it's Nadzim. I get my, tongue wrapped around my eye teeth and I can't see what I'm saying. That's my problem. And Charlie says, has David got some more jokes for us? Well, he might have. You just never know. Ronald Todd, I was wondering where David was this morning. Well, now you know. Yeah, and now you
sometimes I wonder myself.
Well, now you get to put a face with the quirps there. Bill Webb says, I can hardly wait till June to see the water wheel. Looking forward to it. Well, there's an outside chance we'll actually have a building by then too, but it's an outside chance. I might take a couple of days off. I've been working on that sucker all day long, every day, seems like. Simon Jardine's got one question mark there. Says, as a natural follow-up on Jerry from the question I asked the other day, if you were going to coat the flume, well, I'll assume you dried the redwood ready for coating. I don't plan to coat it at all, Simon. I'm just going to let it be natural. And that's the way the old timers did. They didn't have any coatings or nothing. And those log flumes, those flumes they used lasted for years and years. And, that's the thing about wood. If you just keep it wet, it's not too bad. But where you just kind of like have just a little bit of moisture on it and it dries, it'll rot out, especially if air can't get to it. So I don't know. I'm just going to assume it's going to work. I'm just going to be fat, dumb, and happy and let it happen and see how long it lasts. And if I have to rebuild it, it's not that big a deal. Actually, building the flume, it probably didn't take me 3 hours total to build that whole flume. And I've got free wood, so if I need to replace it, I'll just replace it. But otherwise, everything else worked out exactly like I was expecting. Often when I have a project, I've got an outcome in my head already, just like my sawmill. I mean, I did not have any plans. I didn't have a single thing written down. I just started building, and I have it in my head how I want it to turn out. And the sawmill turned out just about like I expected. And this water wheel turned out, I would say, within 1% of what I was expecting. In terms of the speed that the wheel turned, that's almost exactly what I expected. The only thing that it's different than I expected is it's got more torque, which is a good thing. I didn't expect it to have as much torque as it has. It has a lot of torque. So that's about the only thing that surprised me, is that it's got more torque than I thought, which is obviously very positive. There's Yolanda's music there. She said that David was awesome last night. She enjoyed listening to him. Yep, and he was. He did a good job. He played several tunes. He sat in the circle, and as we went around, he played each time, and we did our best to hang on. And Dottie says, fantastic job, David. Gary Hayden says, yep, just like Chet. And moving on down, Bill Webb, look at you, sir. Sounds like Chet. Good job.
Thank you.
And moving on down, Trevor Owen says, yay, it works. I'm curious, did you all think it would spin that fast? I pretty much did. I had a feeling it was going to spin just about the same.
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, you were surprised?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really expected it to spin almost exactly that fast. So that didn't surprise me at all. Tom Armstrong says, that's an awesome water wheel, Jerry. Great job. Thanks. I did get one comment. I'm not going to mention any names, but the comment, it came in an email, and it says, your design on your post and, the beam across the top left me cold. You should have just put in two, metal rods into the rock wall and set it on that. Well, I just replied to the email. Well, there's a million ways to do everything. I chose to do it that way, and that's all there is to it. It's no big deal. I could think of 24 ways I could do that differently, and that's the way I chose to do it. So there you go. And I think it looks cool. I wanted more mass there. It just looks bigger, looks more purposeful, if you will. If you just had two little rods underneath there, it would just be a flat board going across there. It wouldn't be much there to look at, So anyway, that's why I do what I do for reasons. Sometimes I can't explain them very well, but I do what I do for reasons. Bill Webb, let's see. He says, that is awesome. You've been talking about it for years. I'm proud of you and impressed. Well, thanks. I'm glad we got her done. And I think I just lost my place. Where did it go? I think wow, it did. It jumped way up there. Ronald Todd says, beautiful work on the water wheel, Jerry. It's going to look absolutely beautiful when finished. Dottie Hildebrand, all the work on the water wheel was worth it. Good job. Well, I'm still telling myself it was worth it. Trust me, there's every step along the way has been a struggle. It has. It's been tough. Carolyn Fike, wonderful water wheel. Do you think the trickle might improve as the wood expands from the moisture? Yeah, I kind of think that, and I also think that the sediment will block that off too. There'll be sediment. See, you have to understand that inside the pipe, I raised it up like 3 inches. So there's a 3-inch thing of water back behind the flume, and that's going to let sediment settle down in there, and I think that's going to block it off too. So I think it's going to self-correct. That's my wishful thinking anyway. But you never know. William Pagan, hydraulic cement underneath the seal for the seeping. Yeah, that's a possibility. I have actually thought of that already. I was thinking of they sell all kinds of things for that kind of problem, but I thought, like I said, I may just let it self-correct and see what happens. Paul Akers, could it light itself? See, I'm not the only one.
Well, maybe with the light bulb, the spinning would generate enough power to put a light on it.
I guess I don't know. I know that the generator that I have made. I can't remember honestly. I think it came out. Believe it or not, I think it came out 3-phase AC, and then I put rectifiers on it. I put a double set of rectifiers on it to convert it down to, I think, DC. I'm pretty sure it's putting out DC power now. But anyway, I did that 15 years ago, so I don't remember, what I did on that generator. But I really think I'll be able to just stick the generator right on the end of that shaft and just run it into some batteries there and have all kinds of power, I think. Let's see. Milan Toombs, the water wheel looks nice, thanks. Lots of thumbs up there, thank you. Gary Hayden, I would think the water will seal the leak. Yeah, I think it will. I do think it will. I did coat that whole area. It keeps jumping on me. Doggone it. I did coat that whole thing that I put in there with silicone caulk, and we let it set for about 2 hours before we opened it up. But realistically, it didn't even set that long because there was a little bit of seepage coming into the pipe, and so it didn't take very long. I put some towels up there to soak up that seepage, so it was probably a solid hour before water actually hit it. But you can only do what you can do again, and I did the best I could do under the circumstances I was working under. Brian O'Grady says, like a jet engine. Yeah, it's spinning pretty good. And they say there's no such thing as a perpetual motion. Well, I got one right out there. I mean, it runs without anybody doing anything. Now, you don't have to send me email. I know that's not perpetual motion. I always feel like I have to give these caveats because people think he must be stupid. He thinks that's perpetual. I know it's not, but anyway, it looks like it.
Yeah.
It sure does look like it. When I came home last night, it was still spinning, and there's no power going to it that I know of.
It's amazing the power of that water. I mean, you just think they used to turn these great big stones, heavy stones.
Yeah.
Running through all kinds of gears and things.
Well, if you think about the power of a flood, I mean, just knock a house right down and just take it along with you, pick up a car and just send it down the river, So there's a lot of power in water. And I was, like I said, I'm almost exactly, it hit my expectations almost perfectly, other than didn't think it'd have that much torque. It'd be, it'd have more torque if I had a bigger wheel. The larger the wheel, the more torque you're going to have. I've got a 2.5-foot lever there is what I really have. It's 5 foot across, so I have a 2.5-foot lever. And the only advantage of that is that the additional advantage, I should say, is that there's several buckets above that lever filling up as that water pours in. So it puts more torque on that than I was expecting. So it's pretty cool. Bruce Ducker, the water wheel is pretty amazing, Jerry. Your hard work is paying off. Waiting to see it at low flow. Yeah, and even at low flow, I expect it to turn, maybe not quite as fast as it's turning now, but I still expect it to turn just perfectly fine. Even with just a trickle the size of my little finger, it'll keep turning. I don't think it's ever going to stop. Walt Willard, great job on the water wheel. Looks great. Time will add character. Yes, it will. The Outboard Tinkerer, Jerry, always loved the intro theme song to Flipper as a kid. Still do. Nice Travis picking, David. Cool. Let's see. Christia Thomason, can't wait to see what you do with all your hydroelectricity. Yeah, it'll be a shocking time, I'll tell you that. Bill Webb, I can't imagine what something might look like if I built it out of my head. I often do that, though. I've done that since I was a kid. I do occasionally draw things out. Like when I remodeled our master bathroom and bedroom, and as far as that goes, it was such a cobbled up mess that people had done over the years, and I only had so much space, and I wanted to fit 2 full bathrooms back there, basically, one for me and one for Sue, and that was one of those deals where I drew that out to within a 1/16 of an inch on everything, and it fit perfectly that way. But when I don't have to be that specific, I just do it out of my head, and I figure it out as I go. Timothy Werblow. Nope, wait a minute. I think I skipped one. Bill Webb again. My building skills have been compared to a retarded beaver. No offense to the beavers. Yeah, actually, beavers do a pretty good job. Most people don't like beavers and don't want them around and stuff, but I just think they're one of the most amazing things in nature. I really do. You see them block off these big streams, and when they're out where they're not clogging up, pipes and things. When they're out in nature, I think it's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. We used to go on trail rides. They called it the Blair's Creek Trail Ride down by Ellington, Missouri. It was down in that area. I don't remember exactly where. But anyway, it was a long trail ride, and I was just a kid, and that was one of the highlights of the whole trail ride was riding through and around the beaver dams. Oh, it was just beautiful, crystal clear water, and just out there in nature. I just think they're just wonderful. Let's see. Olaf, he doesn't have any question marks, but he's commenting about the water wheel. So he says, I am amazed. The water wheel is a triumph. This is really high point of your career, Jerry, up there with the chocolate violin. Am seriously thinking of taking a trip from Norway to the U.S. Well, that would be awesome, Olaf. I would love to have you come. That would just be awesome. Moving on down here. We got a lot of comments today. Let's see. Dottie says, don't you think the leakage will stop once the wood swells? I think there's a possibility. I don't know if that wood's going to swell very much. Like I said, I really coated it a lot with that silicone, but if it could just be because, and the other thing is there's ingrain there, and that doesn't swell much, but one way or the other, it's either going to swell or there's going to be sediment filling it in. I'm pretty sure. And that little tiny bit of leakage isn't really going to make it or break it anyway. Simon Jardine, have you considered you could fit a cycle gear cassette and have a variable speed output using a chain drive? No, I haven't. I've thought about a few things. I've been watching gear videos, if you will. There's these little tiny transmissions that are small, like compact, that change the gear ratio from like 1 to 100 and something, and they're just really tiny things. So I've been looking at a lot of that stuff, so it's not foreign to me. But like I said, even if I did, even if it produces a ton of power, it's way, way, way out there. What am I going to do with it? I mean, you can't transmit it up to here to the house, so I can't really use it here. Even the rental retreat is over 100 yards away from it, and so what am I going to do with it if I create it? It's about the only thing I could think of to do with it is was just to make a fountain in the pond, or spray water in the air, or put some lights on inside that little building. And beyond that, what do I do with it? It's kind of impractical in one sense, and then in another sense, it's cool. I mean,
it does what you designed it to do.
Yeah,
it looks nice.
It just looks. That's what I designed it for. But thanks, Dave. So yeah, I have thought about the drive thing. Ronald Todd, once the wheel is complete, it would look fabulous if you put a light above the wheel, which would light it up at night. Well, there you go. See, I hadn't really thought of that specifically, but there's a good choice for using the power that it generates. I could put that light right there. So that's not a bad idea. I like that. The spoken song. Your guest microphone sounds like it's off. He's probably not talking into it.
Test 1, 2.
You probably have. And he's got a soft voice anyway. I'm going to move it up closer to you there. And I'll turn it up a little bit more. Check test. Okay. Bill Rhodes, nice to see your face with the name. It's a pleasure to meet you, David.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bill.
I knew you guys would like to see Dave. Kelly Manis, it would be cool to build the house around the water wheel like a lighthouse and let it power the light. Would be great entry night and day. Yeah, well, I think the idea of lighting that all up is not a bad idea, really. It's I hadn't thought of it like that. I was just thinking of putting a light inside the house, just when you go in there, you could have some light, But I think it's kind of cool to have some outside lights there, too. I think that is a good idea. And it's perpetual motion.
Unless you have a drought or something.
Yeah, unless you have a drought. Yep. And again, you shouldn't even say things like this because with the Rosa luck thing, it's just nuts. But every single person we've ever talked to that's known the history of this farm is back as to the early 1900s. Every person we've talked to says that spring has never gone dry. Well, we're going to put it to the test this year now that we got a water wheel. I guarantee you, if it's ever going to happen, it's going to be this year. There's another thing that you guys don't see very often. You see it occasionally in clips of my videos where I'm walking up and down the driveway. There's a little small bridge where the creek goes under. Well, I've shown it in when I show the pond and stuff. You'll see that creek that goes right by there. Well, all the people we ever talked to that knows the history of the farm, no, the water's never got above that bridge. Never, not ever. Well, it's got above that bridge at least 3 times since we've owned it, and maybe 4. I mean, it's just nuts. It is, and they said it never did that, not ever. And there was one guy that he was responsible for a lot of the concrete that's poured around here. He was adopted to be a slave, basically. He was an adopted child of the rich guy that owned this place originally. And he poured all the concrete. So he comes back and visits every once in a while, and he's the one that said it never, ever got above that bridge. So he would know. He poured the bridge. Let's see. Moving on down. Preston Johnson, water wheel is a Michelangelo. Jerry makes MacGyver look like an amateur. Mike Saba, Jerry, what does Sue think of the water wheel? Well, I think she thinks it's pretty cool. She doesn't say a whole lot, but I think she likes it. The outboard tinker, she likes her new headphones that she got. She used those yesterday, and then she went out. I think just to use them even more, she took the brush hog and went to the back and started brush hogging too. David saw her for a little while, and then she was gone. Yeah. She was on the tractor. She pretty much likes to burn gas. Pretty much is that's her whole thing. The outboard tinkerer, do they make a electronic RPM counter? Yeah, I have one, by the way. I've got a RPM counter that you put a sticker on there and watch, and I'll do that too. But what I did yesterday, just briefly, I didn't remember, I don't remember why it's on there, but there was a little piece of blue tape around one of those rungs. And so I was counting that blue tape going by, and I did it for 15 seconds, multiplied it by 4, and so I got around 30 to 32 RPMs is what it seems to be turning right now. Well, let's see here. Where did I lose my place? Okay. Okay, Bill Webb. I'm knocking on wood for the spring not going dry. Yeah, no kidding. Ronald Todd, you could even put lights on the top of the driveway posts. Good idea. That's another good idea. See, I don't think of these things. That's a real good idea. I like that. So yeah, okay, maybe it is practical. See, I thought of that all along. I had this in my mind all the time. You just didn't realize it. No, those are good ideas, really good ideas. Let's see. Bruce Ducker should put a playing card in the spokes of the wheel. You'd be surprised, it actually makes a sound. That splash, the splash just splashes off of that, and you can hear that splash. It almost sounds like the same thing that you're talking about there with the playing card thing. Well, guys, that looks like that's going to be it. I don't see any more comments popping up here. David, thank you for joining me this morning.
I've been really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I hope you have, David. It was our pleasure to have you here. And any comments about the little? He's in the rental apartment.
Yeah.
Anything?
It's comfortable.
It's comfortable. It's small.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's small. It's just like a little efficiency apartment. Got a little kitchen and all that good stuff. It's all you need.
Yeah.
But if you're only one or two people, more than that wouldn't work too well in there. But the rental retreat itself, for those of you who are interested, it actually can handle up to pretty much two families, really, or two different couples, let's say it that way. It's pretty good size. And there was another question or so popped up here. Bill Webb says, "You're the best, Jerry." Well, thank you. Compared to what? Let's see. Simon says, as the flow changes, the RPM will change, is what I mean. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it probably will. I don't think it's going to change all that much as long as it doesn't get down to a trickle. When it gets down to a trickle, definitely it's going to slow down. But even if it flows a lot more, I don't expect it to speed up a ton more. I mean, it'll speed up some, but I don't think it'll speed up a crazy amount.
We had a pretty good rain last night.
Yeah.
And there was concerns of the water overshooting the wheel. It didn't.
Yeah.
It looked to me like it was turning the same speed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. I set the flume back far enough to just catch to catch kind of like the first tub that it could catch, and then it's got to go quite a ways around to get out to that diameter, so it'd have to shoot pretty far to miss the diameter, and I'm not saying it couldn't miss it, but I don't know that I care.
It works.
If it misses it, so what? I mean, this water's going to come out one way or the other, but I don't think it's going to entirely miss it. I think the wheel will keep spinning, Regardless, guys, it is what it is, and if we do run into a problem, well, guess what? I'll probably fix it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all the wonderful comments. And David, again, thanks for coming by, and we will see you tomorrow with something else.